Now, as I mentioned, Catherine Costigan is with me. She's a Limerick woman and she is a professional cage fighter. And you might have read about her in the Limerick Post recently. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
How did you get involved in cage fighting?
Well, when I was a kid, my dad was a huge fan of Bruce Lee. And I watched the movies and sat down on the couch with him. And it was interesting to see how Bruce Lee used such efficient movement to defeat much bigger opponents. And I thought, that's very interesting. Could it actually be done? And then a neighbour of mine, his son was teaching kickboxing. And when I was 14, I said, I'd really, really like to do that. And so I got stuck in. My first class, I turned up. It was me and about 10 boys. And the boys were kind of a bit shocked because I think I was the first girl ever to walk on the mat. But I was determined. And no matter how much, they were welcoming to a point, but they didn't 100% want me there. But that just made me more determined.
How did your female teenage friends react at the time?
They thought it was cool. Some of them came along, but they gave it up because it was tough. But I always had a lot of respect from them. And I used to show them things in class sometimes, which probably I shouldn't have. But we used to have a bit of fun at lunchtime, and they thought it was quite cool.
But there you are in a male-dominated environment at the time. So winning respect, was that part of the challenge?
Absolutely, and that's what's going to drive you with anybody. You want respect among the people that you train with every day, especially the men. My first cage fight ever, at the end, when I walked back into the changing room, the men stood up and gave me a standing ovation, which I'd never seen ever. So that was amazing for me.
So kickboxing obviously isn't all that's used in cage fighting.
Absolutely.
So what was your progression?
We started off within kickboxing and mixing with karate and mixing with boxing as well. And then my coach, Dermot McGrath, who still teaches and runs the business with me, Pancration in Eastway Business Park, he decided, this cage fighting, I think it's going to be the thing in a few years. I think it's going to be the future. And he was spot on. Some people thought we were mad, but we knew that we were onto something correct.
What's the difference then between cage fighting and other martial arts?
The difference is you can be taken down to the ground, and on the ground your body can be manipulated in locks and holes, and it can make the person tap out or give up. You can strike on the ground as well with punches, knees and elbows. But I always say to people when they hear all this that it's actually very, very safe in the sense of the referee is there, and if the person is in trouble, they know themselves. They've signed up for something. They know to tap out and release the hold.
To be clear, is this different from these Ultimate Fighting Championships that we hear about?
That's just a name. That's like a marketing name. Like every radio station has a different name that they go by. So the UFC would be the largest one, say, in the world that would be known by a lot of people. And you would go and fight there. It's like going to the Olympics and fighting. It's the ultimate goal is to get to the UFC. And that's what it is. It's striking, as I said, a mixture of jiu-jitsu, mixture of judo, kickboxing, boxing. That's why it's such a challenge, because you have to train in everything. There's nothing you can leave behind. You cannot leave any weakness that you may find. You have to make it your strength.
Yeah, but is it really, really tough and potentially more dangerous than boxing or other disciplines?
I'm often asked that question, and it's a good one. With boxing, you stand there for 12 rounds if you're professional, and the job is to knock the guy as hard as you can in the head and the body and knock him out. Whereas with cage fighting, you have 3 different ways, in a sense, to win. You can knock them out on their feet, of course, with the gloves. You can take them down and get on top of them and punch them, or you can submit them. So there's less danger there of getting brain damage, as people would say, than actually boxing. And for me, as a fighter, I've never had a black eye, I've never had a broken nose, nothing has ever happened to me because I know what I'm doing and I train to my highest to be the best. And anybody who's across the cage from you should be the same level, which you would hope that they would be.
Yeah, and I should say at this point, and I'm only making this observation because we're talking in the context of cage fighting and people's perceived image of maybe you are a woman that if I saw you walking down the street, the last thing I would believe is that you were a cage fighter.
Of course, because I don't conduct myself like, oh, I want to beat you up, I want to beat everybody up, and that's the reason why I did it. No, I want to test myself within the cage. That's where I do my fighting, and that's all. I'm a very smart lady. If I see trouble in Limerick, I walk across the street. I use my smarts and my brain. That's actually the best fighter, is the one that never gets hurt.
Yeah,
you know?
Mind you,
strategy.
I would say the Egypt who tried to mug you would never forget it.
That is true too. I'd have a nice warm up on them.
And when you looked at Katie Taylor's success at
Yes.
the Olympics, were you A, inspired by that, and B, did you think, great, a breakthrough for women in an activity that's been traditionally a male bastion?
Exactly. Any woman in any male bastion sport that pushes through is such, a hero to me, and Katie was phenomenal. She did brilliant. Look at it now. The strongest women can show that they belong in that man's world, and I think men are coming more and more around, especially the years as I train. I have so much more respect from world champions, men that I train all over the world with, that really respect women who can train, and they want them there. It's really changed.
And do you admire the way that she conducts herself outside the ring, and the way that our Six Nations Grand Slam winning women in rugby have conducted themselves off the pitch?
Well, they're all within the same sort of system. We have a discipline, we have a respect among ourselves, and that is within us, and that's the way we're brought up within the martial art, is to respect and conduct ourselves in the highest possible form.
Like Katie, do you spar with men?
Yes, absolutely. I was only I had Peter Irving over, who's about 90 kilos, training with me on Thursday and Friday.
And what weight are you?
I'm 48 kilos.
Right. So he was...
But I'm training with him years and years, and I'm well able to give him a good shot
Are
as
you?
well. Oh, I'll stand and trade with him. We had a great fight. Great sparring.
And is it technique then?
Yeah, it's technique, it's strategy, it's technique. I'm small, I'm fast. I don't stand there and just let myself get hit. I move. I'm very, very fast. That's my whole thing. And I do try to train with the very best because I want to be the best. And I train with Rosie Sexton in England, who is now signed by the UFC, which is the women have been taken on to the UFC, which is amazing, amazing achievement for her.
Are you allowed to compete against men in proper competition?
No, and there's a women's division, and that's fair, and that's the way it should be. Women compete against women, and you all compete in different weight categories, just like boxing.
And recently, what competitions have you been in?
Well, unfortunately, I had neck fusion.
Oh.
I was out for about 20 months with a few injuries. I had hip surgery, which doesn't sound like I'm really old, and I got my hip replaced before anybody asks. I had a tear behind my hip, and they fixed that in the sports surgery clinic. And then I had a very bad neck pain for about 8 years, and it was to do with work and training as well. It wasn't just down to MMA. And they found out that my disc had fortunately got damaged and was pressing into my spinal cord. So they gave me an option: retire, give up my dream, give up what I love, or get the disc replaced with a titanium plate. And I said, let's do it. And I found the best surgeon who did Brian O'Driscoll's neck. And he said, I'll have you back in 5 months. And within 2 weeks, I decided to do it. Didn't tell my mother, who nearly killed me afterwards, but she forgave me. And I just got it done, and I said, I'm not giving up on my dream. The surgeon said, if you want to cry in front of me, please do, because I've had rugby people cry in front of me. They were like, why aren't you crying? To me, I just saw it as another challenge. I know I can defeat it. I know if there's a possible way this surgeon can fix me, then let's do it. So for 20 months, I've been doing intense physio and getting back. I actually did the physio for all of that within 5 months, and I did exactly what the surgeon said. Ate perfectly, walked twice a day, did mental exercise, did not leave myself just slouch and feel sorry.
Yeah. What about the man in your life then?
He's actually my coach and my husband, and he runs the business with me, so he understands completely, and he's there 24/7. I couldn't do it without Dermot. He's absolutely superb, and he challenges me, but he also reassures me that I can do it. He never gives up on me, and that's very important. You need someone to look up to. That's why we train with as many world champions, because you're going to learn from them.
And do you guys find that it has an impact on your relationship?
A little bit, but I think we're so long together. We're together 16 years that we know how to leave it alone. Sometimes, yeah, we would have the whole little bit of fighting. You didn't do the punch right today, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not making your dinner, so blah, 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 blah. You need to be nice to me if you want to get fed. But usually we know the big thing is that I have a fight coming up. We don't have time to fight about it. We have time to get everything right. That's the most important thing.
But do you accept that it's not the typical scenario sitting around the dinner table for a couple to have a row about fighting.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But, you know, there are couples there, they'll row about everything and anything. I don't think it's too bad to be rowing about how I can get my technique better, and maybe today I had an off day, I'll come back and do it better tomorrow.
Is there any money in this?
At the start, no, but because now women have been taken into the UFC, there is. I mean, the men often can make anything up to 50, 60,000 a fight. And then if they do a good finish, an exciting fight, then they could get another 50,000 bonus. But that's now when you have to make it there. But there are sacrifices before that. I'll be fighting in England on June the 29th, my fight back, and I'm going to prove, because I'm the first woman to ever have neck fusion in MMA, so I'm going to prove that nothing can stop you.
And you know, when sports people talk about coming back from an injury, you often hear soccer players talk about coming back from a broken leg, and that the first tackle where that leg comes under pressure is a nervous one. Is that what you're feeling?
No, not at all. From the minute I woke up on the bed.
You're scarily confident, Catherine.
I am super confident. You cannot doubt yourself in any way in the sport. I believe already that I'm number one in the world, like Muhammad Ali did. And look where he went. So that is my dream. That is my goal. I've given so much to this. It doesn't, you see, if you leave any bit for doubt, you will have failure. And I teach my kids from 4 up the same idea. I was only talking to them last night, not to believe that, okay, you're not the very, very, very best, but that you can be, you know, and to keep striving for that. And over the years of being trained, that was slowly instilled in me. And it came from my parents, my mum and dad as well. They always were so supportive of everything I did and showed me love and told me, go for it, Catherine.
Tell me about your kids.
Our kids are little ninjas. We teach from 4 up to 20, and we have them divided by their age group into small classes with 2 teachers. And some kids come that are bullied, and I can tell by them. They're shy, quiet, no confidence. I was when I was a little girl, when I went first to kickboxing, and my dad said after that I never shut up. So we really push them and try to help them in a friendly, fun atmosphere. And when they achieve goals, you can see their face light up. And it's actually better than... It's not about the money to me. It's about making that kid feel like they know they can do something and there's some worth. You know, when they have kids that put them down, they can rise above that.
What about motherhood?
It's very interesting to me, and it'll definitely come. But because I train 6 days a week, twice a day, special diet... it wouldn't be fair for me to have a kid right now. It's a lovely idea, and I have loads of kids. I've got about 100 in my academy, and I see how much hard work they are, and when I give them back after the 45 minutes, I go, phew, whew. It wouldn't be fair to the child to do that. So after I win the title, then the babies will come.
Is there a lot of telly coverage?
There would be in America, and it's over in Ireland now. You can watch the UFC all the time on ESPN or any of those, and it's amazing. I mean, I had my postman come in and say, oh, I heard you're famous, you're a cage fighter. Now, a few years ago it would have been, oh, that's a very violent sport. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Now it's like, oh, that's so cool. I know the cage fighting. And I'm there going, wow, my postman knows about cage fighting. So it has evolved and gotten all the way around the world.
I'd say no, you wouldn't be a big woman for scoffing the chocolate.
Once a week when I'm in fight camp, only one. I loved it. I was a junk food junkie, lived on it. And then I said, if I want to be the best, about 10 years ago, I said, and I want to get in the best shape and I want to do women's fitness DVDs, which I did. I said, I'd better look the business. And once I got it, I never wanted to let my abs go. So I love Mars bars, but I can only have them on a Sunday. And I really pick out on a Sunday. I go into a coma from eating so much sugar.
But what about the 10 Maltesers rule?
Yeah. The thing is, when you are eating loads of sugar all the time, you don't actually notice, and you can take more and more and more and your stomach grows. But when you go on clean foods, like I would eat every day, eggs, meat, green vegetables, brown rice, that would be my meals every day. When I come to a Sunday, because I haven't taken sugar, my body doesn't react to it well. It will tell me after 10 Maltesers, you cannot eat anymore because I will get physically sick. That's how fine-tuned your body comes. Your body, all your taste buds, everything changes, and you look forward to eating fresh broccoli, greens. You're like, wow, I want this more than I want a Mars bar.
Fresh broccoli?
Yeah, and then you see your body in the mirror after a month of doing that, and your abs are like ripped. It's
yeah,
all
well,
fat.
I mean, you look blooming incredible at it, but still eating a lot of broccoli. Oh.
It takes discipline because I want to win. I know there's another girl training as hard as me. The girl in Spain right now is training as hard as me, so I'm going to train extra hard. I'm going to do everything.
And do you see her? Is she your enemy?
No, never enemy, just a challenge. Just a person who can match my skill and be as mentally good as me, and that we will have a chess match when we go into the cage. Whatever she does, I will do.
It's not going to be a chess match in the classic sense.
No,
but
the strategy is there where you make a move, then you must be quick enough to counter to what she has done, and it's whoever decides is the best move within the timing is the one that's going to get the victory.
Catherine is a great fighter, a great teacher. She taught my two daughters, one who got her junior black belt last year. I wish her every success for the future,
that's
says
Katie's
Michelle from Kilteely. Yeah. So,
thanks, Michelle.
Right, you're an inspiration, really. So, are we expecting then the ticker tape parade for you, like we had for the Munster lads and we had for Katie and?
Well, I love meeting new people, so as many people who want to come and party with me, absolutely. And
your progression then, because we often talk to Andy Lee on this programme about what you have to go through to get to the title fight. When are you expecting to get to that point?
Within the next 2 years, I'm giving myself that. In America, there is an all-female fighting show called Invicta FC. It's getting as big as the UFC, and I need to get on that. Now, I need to get a certain amount of fights in Europe before I can. And then hopefully the UFC have opened up one women's division. They will follow on to more divisions, I'm sure, because the women are bringing in higher ratings on the pay-per-view cards. They're beating boxing at the moment on pay-per-view views. Believe it or not, it is way more popular. So if the women keep doing it, and my friend Rosie Sexton, who trains, she's going to be fighting in 2 months' time in Canada for the UFC. If we keep putting exciting shows on and really go out there and show them that we can do it just like the guys, then I'm going to get there and I'm going to become a UFC champion one day. Because where's the point in me doing all this if it's not to try and reach the very, very highest level in my sport?
Yeah. And just age-wise, again, not the most polite thing to ask a woman.
I don't care. I'm 33 at the moment.
Okay, so in terms...
I've lost a few bits of injuries.
That's what I'm trying to figure, exactly.
In UFC, you could retire at 45. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to still go till 45, but if I win a belt, I know it'll be hard for me to just go, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore, because that's a really great goal and achievement, But my heart is in Limerick. I teach so many people in Limerick, and I love everybody that comes to my classes. My ladies' kickboxing classes, all the girls are wonderful in that class, and I would miss all them. So I don't want to give up that part either. That's a huge part. That's made me who I am. The people around me who have supported me and pushed me through.
Yeah, and of course, you're in a sporting town as well. Which
exactly, big, and everybody wants to achieve. And in these times, it is hard. So I think it's very important to have martial arts because it really challenges the person to use a little bit more than just go to their job and da-da-da-da. So I think it's why it will work for the average person as well.
Well, I was reading the piece in the Limerick Post a couple of weeks ago, Catherine, and very anxious to get you in. You're fascinating, and all I can do is wish you the very best.
Can I give a shout out just to Limerick people that support me? O'Connell's Butchers, BB's, Jetland Muffins, to give me muffins on my cheat day, Mag Gobby, Peter Fitzgerald and Nina, my awesome physio, Unicare Pharmacy, Angelina, all the girls, and of course I have to look fabulous when I go in the cage, so Plush Beauty for all the beauty needs for me.
Well, no, I'm laughing there because if it was anyone else but you...
Thank you, you're not scared of me.
I wouldn't have let anybody else do that, but
frankly, bit of cheek.
I'm a bit terrified, so
thank you, Joe.
Listen, a real pleasure, and
pleasure
best of luck. Let us know how things are going, will you?
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, bye-bye. Bye.